Okay, let's bring David Okoror, a security and governance strategist, for more on security concerns during elections. Thanks very much, David, for joining us on Newsnight. We can see that the test run, of the elections in Kogi and Bayelsa, it was a woeful turnout. And INEC, again, is promising El Dorado. They will use these three off-cycle elections, to perfect the imperfections of the last general elections. What are your thoughts here?
Well, thank you for having me. I think that what INEC have done today is a routine exercise that they would normally do before elections start. But it doesn't say anything different will happen during the election, because usually we have this kind of exercises and election takes place and the scenario is normally different. So
you're not even confident that, you're taking their statement with a pinch of salt?
Yes, because we've been here before. We've been here before, and the Nigerian public are not going to be easily influenced this time. These are things that INEC would normally do, but you can even see that from the very first day that it's not turning out the way everybody should have expected. So it does mean that INEC will definitely need to do more. And like I said, this election is very important because it's the first election that this particular government is going to be conducting. And for most people, actually, this is going to be the first election after the last election that is still being contested in the courts. But I would like to say that that these elections are serious national security issues, because politicians want to win by all means. They believe that if you can get to government by any means.
Why are the security agents not, stopping that kind of attitudinal disposition by our politicians? They have all the means to stop them, so that they shouldn't win by all means. They should win fair and square.
Yes, this is very critical. The elections that we're having, there are different categories of people that we consider to be security threats. The number one security threat to any election, indeed this election, is INEC. INEC's inability to conduct a free and fair election is a security risk that is going to result in several other security issues. INEC's inability to keep to its own promises is a security risk in itself. When INEC tells you 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, we are going to deploy, and they don't deploy, that's a security issue on itself. So the first and the most critical security issues in any election as we have it is INEC. If INEC fails in its role to manage elections properly, then it precipitates other security issues that comes up. Of course, the second, in my assessment of elements that are security risk are the politicians who want to win by all means. And because they want to win by all means, they employ violence, they employ other cards, and they make the work difficult for even the security to be able to control. And then, of course, you talk about security agencies. They have their own shortcomings, which for me is
We've seen them, colluding with politicians to disenfranchise the voters of their rights.
Exactly.
Very shameful.
Yes. That's why I said that politicians are, apart from INEC, they are the key security risk, because now they try to compromise the security agencies in order to do their own bidding. Which
should I be asking you, how can that be curtailed?
Yes, it can be curtailed again if INEC will do its own work. If INEC will ensure that the gaps are, that the laws are followed according to the regulations that they have produced by themselves, and the Electoral Act is properly followed, we won't have any issues.
Yeah, but we heard recently the court had given INEC a blank check. If you like, you can transmit results electronically. Why are they upbeat again about that, even though you said, well, you just take what they say with a pinch?
No, we take INEC. What INEC is telling us, we take because we'll be disappointed. We've been here before. We've been disappointed.
And they're going to come up with one excuse that, whether the server failed or there was no internet.
It will be too late then for you and I to speak. But I want to say that going forward, so I should be concerned.
Why are they engaging Nigerians in what they know they cannot deliver?
Well, they have a responsibility.
Is it that they lack the capacity with all the billions of naira expended in acquiring electronic devices to make the elections freer, fairer, and smoother?
It's the will. It's just the way to do what is right. I mean, everything has been provided. Like you said, budget is provided, technology is available. It is the will of the election managers to do what is right that is always the issue. So if they tell you, whether they tell you it glitches they had or their inability to deploy on time, they say, we are going to be at the police station before 8 o'clock, and they don't deploy. I mean, these are not because of any other issues other than internal issues and the will to do what they have promised that they are going to do. And like I said, really, for INEC, there's no consequence.
Lack of patriotism here?
There is no consequence. If INEC fails, who is sacked? Who is responsible? Who is held responsible? Each time INEC fails, the body comes back to Nigeria because the people have to go to court and all that. You ask you the question, each time INEC failed, has anybody ever been sacked to say, INEC, you did not deliver on your promises, therefore this head you roll? It has never happened. So as long as there is no consequence, people feel relaxed, their salary still goes, their allowances still goes, their position is assured, and nothing happens. So the next election we are going to have, you are sure it's going to be the same thing because there's no consequence for misbehavior. And it's really unfortunate. And looking at this election, that's why I think that our approach in this election should be slightly different. Nigerians must demand from INEC that this time around, you must deliver. And if you don't deliver, there should be consequences. For the security agencies, I want to say that their work is fairly well cut out for them because now we are dealing with just 3 states, isn't it? We are not dealing with the entire country. We are dealing with 3 states. That means that there's enough assets to be deployed to those states in order to protect the voters, to create a free and fair environment.
And the issue of insecurity looms large in Imo State. It's one of the off-cycle states that would be having its governorship election. And when you look back just barely a month ago, some security officers were mauled down in cold blood in Imo State. What kind of guarantee would the security agencies be given Imolites to go out to vote, even the ad hoc workers, the youth corps that they use for such jobs?
Well, I think that for election security and the deployment architecture for election security should be able to handle most of these issues. For instance, the election security deployment says that the outer circle of the election, that means the inbound and the outbound points of the state, the military will take charge of that to ensure that criminals don't come in or go out. As a matter of fact, usually movement is restricted from midnight or before the day of the election. So it means that people cannot easily come out and go in. Then next is the fact that within the state itself, police will deploy. And by the way, if the security agencies really want to work, they know where
it's a very volatile state.
Yes, but
you remember the unknown
government.
Yeah, it's a big saga.
Yeah, but I think a saturation strategy whereby men on the ground, with boots on the ground in sufficient number, are deployed to Imo State so that every community, every polling booth, every ward is sufficiently policed by men on that. And by the way,
don't forget that the police in the polling or voting arena don't hold guns.
This is what I was going to say next. In this election, I believe that one of the things that the police authority, if they are listening, should do is to ensure that their tactical teams are allowed to bear arms. Because the police are not bearing arms, talks would normally come in, operate and go. But this time around, because of our past experience, what should be done is that police should be allowed, at least the tactical team, to bear arms, and they should be located in strategic positions.
Don't you think the air component of the Nigerian security should be called to play very well?
They should, so that they can give an overview sort of cover, and at the same time they will be able to quickly relay information where there are crises. But like I said, if certain steps are taken by the law enforcement agencies, for instance, movement on election day should be curtailed almost completely, because what violence perpetrators normally do is that they move in numbers from one location to the other with arms and all that. But if movement restriction is completely enforced, it will be impossible for the criminal elements to operate and move from one location to the other. Yes, when this is done, and when this is done, it will be difficult for violence to happen. But like I said, the other aspect of the entire election management to make sure it works properly is in the hand of INEC. And I think that INEC need to redeem their image before Nigerians with these 3 elections that we're going to have. And by the way, talking about not just...
Very quickly.
Not just Imo State. Kogi State is another very serious flashpoint. we've had electoral.
You know, there was a TikTok.
The ratata democracy.
Thank you very much, Dr. David Okoror. He's a security and governance strategist for coming on Newsnight.
Thank you.